Okay, moving on to the team that I have coming in fourth place in the Big 12 for the upcoming season. That would be Chris Beard and his Texas Tech Red Raiders. And when I look at the Red Raiders, the first thing that comes to mind is really how many different options they have on this team. They have, in my opinion, legitimately 12 to 13 guys that I think could have a legitimate role. There are transfers to prospects. Chris Beard was in so many recruiting battles this summer, and he didn't win all of them, but seeing Texas Tech in the hunt for so many of these players, it really tells you a lot about how high Chris Beard has really elevated the Texas Tech program in only 5 years there. And for Texas Tech this upcoming season, they do lose a lot from last year. Jahmi'us Ramsey and Davide Moretti, who was their starting backcourt, they both announced that they're going to be pursuing professional options. And when I watched Texas Tech last year, I do think Chris Beard did put a lot on Jahmi'us Ramsey's shoulders, and I'm not saying he was wrong to do so. Ramsey's a very talented player, and he was a prized recruit, and he asked him to quarterback the offense from day one and kind of fill those shoes that were left behind by Jarrett Culver the year before. And if you remember, Jarrett Culver led Texas Tech all the way to the national championship game. So those are pretty big shoes that Jahmi'us Ramsey had to fill. And it did look like Ramsey was headed for, rock star status to start off the season. He was awesome in Texas Tech's first 5 non-conference games, but he got hurt against Iowa, which put him on the shelf for about 3 weeks. And when he returned, he did regain form and then kind of went cold in a Big 12 schedule that started up in February. Still, though, he ultimately fell prey to the typical freshman walls, hitting one pretty late, and by all accounts, I think most Texas Tech fans would say that Ramsey met expectations last season, but it did serve as a little bit of a reality check for what reasonable expectations should be for first-year lead guards, particularly those who are carrying the torch for an elite program that everyone knows. And I think for Texas Tech this year, the guy that right now is in the best position, not the best position, but is in position per the coach to replace Ramsey and be that starting guard to lead things off is Mac McClung, who is now eligible. And that gives them what I think is Texas Tech's best shot creator, probably over Kyler Edwards and Nimari Burnett, who are both very good players. And it's weird because Texas Tech fans are kind of out on Kyler Edwards and predicting him to come off the bench in lineup projections. And I don't really understand that because Kyler Edwards will be the most experienced guy on this Texas Tech roster. He's a guy that's a full-time starter. He returned, and he's no stranger to big games after he played a lot of significant minutes in the 2019 national championship game. He was kind of the guy last season that was capable to adapting his game as needed, and without Davide Moretti back, Edwards is going to be the veteran rock leader for this Red Raider backcourt, and he's responsible for kind of teaching and modeling Nimari Burnett, who's going to be the young guy in this backcourt. Edwards, once again, started 31 games last year. He's your leading returning scorer and averaged double digits in scoring last year. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, if he's better than Mac McClung, but that's a really good backcourt. This is also a really deep team. They have McClung, Edwards. One kid I haven't even mentioned yet that I absolutely love is TJ Shannon Jr., who really showed flashes last year. I think he's going to have a phenomenal season for Texas Tech this year. I mentioned Nimari Burnett, and also they bring in Marcus Santos Silva, the transfer from VCU. Off the bench, Texas Tech has some guys. I'll start off with Kevin McCullough. This is a guy that last year really developed into a nice player, really developed nicely into his role towards the back end of the season, as he was really the main bench contributor for Texas Tech. They also bring in Micah Peavy, who is a freshman. He could play, very highly ranked recruit. And also Jamarius Burton, the transfer from Wichita State. I believe he'll get some serious minutes on this team as well. And Texas Tech, when I look at this roster on paper, and I feel like it's going to be the same thing when opponents see them walk into their gym, right? They're just a big and long and physical team, and they're going to punch you in the mouth, and they're just super athletic. And I really do think Chris Beard has really developed the sense of positionless basketball, and he's using that with this Texas Tech team. Right now, the 5 starters I have projected to start for Texas Tech, none of them is shorter than 6'3", and that's who is 6'3", and this is just a really long, physical, and lengthy team. One of the guys I spoke about earlier, TJ Shannon, he's a lefty slasher, and he really did turn into one of the more efficient freshmen in the Big 12 last season. I think if his jump shot continues to progress, there could be some big things in his future. Maybe an all-conference team, maybe could lead Texas Tech in scoring. He could really play. The other guy is Jamarius Burton. He was really good at Wichita State. He's a high-impact guy who defends and really could do everything for you. And then Nimari Burnett, he's a player who dominated AAU basketball. He really plays hard. He hits shots. You put the ball in his hands, I think you're going to be in very good shape. With Ramsey and Moretti gone, he's going to become the de facto lead ball handler and offensive initiator. In many ways, the scouting report on Barnett is easily similar to that of a Ramsey or a Culver, right? Long, tough shot maker. He's perfect for late clock burn situations where Beard can send him a ball screen or space the floor and let him go make a play. When Mac McClung is into the equation, I'm curious how he plays and how he fits into all this, because I don't think in order for Texas Tech to be successful, they need Mac McClung dominating the ball. Right around the top 12 would be where I'd have Texas Tech, and I understand people were so high on them last year with how much faith we all have in Chris Beard, and I thought it was a legitimately good roster and talented, but for some reason it didn't click, and they just didn't generate enough offense. They lose a good experienced player in Davide Moretti. They lose TJ Holyfield, who is more versatile than Marco Santos Silva, and it feels to me that the pieces of this Texas Tech team don't fit together great, because they have a lot of scoring combo guards. They're a little light on shooting with athletic wings. It feels like there's a little bit of overlap and not enough shooting besides Mac McClung and Kyler Edwards. The other question I have with this Texas Tech team is, how will their defense be? I think we all know Chris Beard is a great defensive coach. Terrence Shannon is a really good defender. Same with McClung, Burnett, McCullough. But Marco Santos Silva playing the 5 is a little concerning, though, because he's not Tariq Owens. He can't rebound. He can't really gang rebound, and Texas Tech can't rebound like they did last year. And when I say Santos Silva can't rebound, I mean like Tariq Owens, right? The national championship team was an rebounding team, but they were so good on the interior, and I think this year they need to get better on the glass, and having Marco Santos Silva will help. Holyfield was a decent shot blocker, but not a great rebounder, but he was also more mobile. So it's going to be interesting to me with Texas Tech playing these guys that are like 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", how are they going to do, and are they going to be able to rebound as effectively as they were able to last year? The other guy that I forgot to mention is Joel Ntambwe, the transfer from UNLV. He's a guy that is 6'9", averaged 11.8 points per game when he played there, so he could be a guy that could make an impact on this Texas Tech team with his athleticism, and he could really rebound as well, averaged 5 rebounds per game last year. Chris Clark is the other player that Texas Tech loses, and he was solid and played point guard, which was a little odd because he couldn't shoot, and he was fine leading things in transition, but I don't know, he was a little disappointing for everything I expected him to be when he came in as a transfer from Virginia Tech. And the backcourt takes a step back in terms of talent, but it is deeper after losing Moretti and Ramsey. I'm telling you guys, I think Terrence Shannon can break out, and I think if he does, Texas Tech is like a top 15, top 12 team. And if he does, they will be very good. And another guy that could break out is Nimari Burnett, and I think he's going to be a lottery pick. Kevin McCullough could even take a jump, right? Clarence Naldoni, that's a kid I didn't even mention yet. He could play a little bit. And Ntambwe was productive at UNLV and has a lot of upside. I like that at Texas Tech here, right? You're not counting on 1 or 2 specific guys to produce and have so many options that could make a jump, right? And odds are one of them will turn into a productive guy, which really helps your confidence. Plus, you have Chris Beard as a coach. You should also be good on defense, but with all these combo guards and creators, I'm just curious to see how it all fits together. And with Chris Beard leading the I'm confident Texas Tech will be in good hands going forward. In today's college basketball landscape, right, freshman phenoms are the guys that are putting everyone in their seats and selling the most popcorn. But for Chris Beard and his defensive system, right, those traits that the Texas Tech team had in 2018, I think they still hold weight as to why Texas Tech is one of the best programs in college basketball. When Texas Tech made their 2018 run, Chris Beard talked openly about the importance of having older, multi-year guys in the program, which, to be honest, was not the case with last year's team. Even the upperclassmen were first-year players. And this year's Red Raider team, they're still a little young, but Edwards, Shannon, McCullough all enter their second year, or for Edwards, his third year, in Chris Beard's system. And when they know a little bit of what he's all about, now that they have the experience, and now they bring in Burnett and in Tomley, who I think are both pretty good talents, I think this Texas Tech team could be really good. And the top four in the Big 12 is really good, man. Between Baylor and West Virginia and Kansas and Texas Tech, I believe all four of those teams are top 15 teams, and the Big 12 at the top is going to be very, very good.